Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is at long last Elle Duncan Friday. Elle Duncan, what's going on?
What up, Bo? How you doing?
I'm good. I was telling you before the show, and people need to understand this. Hey, man, people get busy. People got stuff to do. I understand it, and I never want to be the person that ever badgers. But every time Ryan says, hey, you want to try Elle for the show? Yes, he hits me and says, well, Elle says she's busy this week. I'm like, cool, but ask her when she's not. We're going to keep asking until we get us a time, and it's not just us. Shout out to whoever that man was that saw you in the airport who let you know that it had been too long since you had come back over to the crib.
Yo, you got some real fans. I've told you this numerous times. I will say it again. I get recognized more for being on your show than I do for being on the 1 million shows that I'm on ESPN. But this man, last week I was traveling to Indianapolis and he comes running up to me and he's like, hey, man, I love you on Bomani's show. Why you ain't got no love for him, man? Why you ain't been on there in a while, man? And I was like, I promise you, Bo just has an uncanny knack for asking for me on days I'm traveling or whatnot. I was like, but I'm going on next week. So shout out to that dude in the Indianapolis airport. We in here.
What in the world what did the world do to send you to Indianapolis this time?
Wrestling.
WWE. Oh, you went for the wrestling show?
I did. I went for the wrestling for WrestlePalooza. And it was so wild because, at first I was kind of like, okay, I mean, I don't know much about wrestling. My favorite wrestler, to show you my age, and the last time I really consumed wrestling was Diamond Dallas Page. So it's been a while. Exactly. DDP, let's go. But once I got there and I was doing these interviews with some of these wrestlers, I sort of realized like why I was the perfect fit for this, because as you know, Bo, I'm very theatrical and everything that I do has a tinge of acting in it. And as I'm going to interview Becky Lynch, and I realized, oh, she's going to do this interview in full character. I was like, okay, I feel like this is right in my wheelhouse and I can definitely do this. But it's really interesting to sort of, when you're interviewing these people, to see who's going to be in full character, who's going to like talk to you normally. Like, I think I asked her like a legacy question, right? I was like, you and AJ Lee, you are two of the most famous and incredible legacy female wrestlers. And right away, she's like, what do you mean? Well, we're not two of. I'm the best. I'm the man. I'm the greatest. She's nothing. She's not good. I was like, oh shit, we're like doing this. All right. Well, I guess we're going to do this then. So it was definitely interesting. A lot of mullets. We love that. And so it was a good time.
Well, you need to definitely do a little research. The term is kayfabe, which is the idea of the wrestler being the wrestler at all times. Like it's actually a philosophical issue within that world and how kayfabe has changed. I think I'm saying it right. Sorry for you wrestling fans if I'm not showing you proper respect for fucking wrestling. But that's a thing about whether or not you should ever see the wrestler as an actual person, or whether the wrestler should always be in character. It is just interesting to me that like now the ESPN is in on wrestling. We kind of got to act like wrestling is not wrestling.
Yeah.
Like that is it's a new world with that. What I have been shocked by and social media did for me was I truly had no idea how many of my grown ass friends were really into wrestling. Like when I started doing the Morning Jones is serious, the Score, the company that did it at the time, they were the company that showed wrestling in Canada. And so my guy Corey, they used to do like wrestling shows and wrestling analysis. And I really thought that they were outliers. And I did my best, which wasn't very much, to shield my judgment of them as adults. But they everywhere, Elle. Yeah. They everywhere. And the internet has allowed them to be intellectual about it, which I appreciate because I like reading about wrestling, but I can't believe that they all still out here watching wrestling like that.
Yeah, they are. And they're breeding new ones. I mean, I think, again, I sort of am starting to feel like the more I'm around the demo that maybe it's very much my demo, because there's this maybe 11-year-old girl that's at the broadcast that I'm at. And she's so sweet, big Pixar eyes. And she's got her little Becky Lynch sign. And she's like, I love Becky Lynch so much. And I was like, oh, this is going to be such a great moment for you to meet your hero. What I didn't realize is that little girl would turn into a monster troll when CM Punk came out, because her favorite wrestler, Becky Lynch, and her husband, Seth Rollins, have a huge rivalry with CM Punk. And so this little girl just transformed into this like mega troll. And she's like, you're nothing. I hate you. And like, I was like, you're literally breeding haters. And I kind of dig it. Like, I kind of was like, maybe this really is like the area that I need to be, because I loved watching that little girl transform into a Disney character that all of a sudden just became a monster. It was
Well,
great.
let me tell you this, the other thing that's happened too. And I hadn't thought about this. It used to be that it was like I watched wrestling was when I was little, and then I got too grown for it. But now we have established a world where you don't feel like you have to do that.
Yeah.
Like I just there was a day where I was like, yeah, I believe I have outgrown this. No, 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 no. I ain't no outgrowing wrestling no more. I don't
No.
know if that's good or not, but wrestling is here.
Listen, it's entertainment. It's fun to figure out if they actually really hate each other. Like there are ways to sort of put yourself into wrestling. Like I know a lot of like older people are like, oh, once I found out it was scripted, I was done with it and whatnot. But I would say that there's enough intrigue there apart from the decision itself on who's going to
Yes.
win. There's enough intrigue there that I think you could like stir up, sort of a normal casual fan into someone more avid. I mean, for
Oh
me, it
yeah.
was. Yeah.
Oh no, no, we gotta now get you to be somebody ringside manager.
Oh, let's go.
You
Can I like
know,
be a heel? Would you be a heel or a hero if you were a wrestler?
I would much rather be a heel. That looks like a lot more fun.
Right?
Right? Or if you could figure out like The Rock, who was so good at being a heel that it became heroic.
Yes.
Because that's
Yeah,
the best.
yeah,
That is the
like a lovable asshole. That's probably
yes.
like the sweet spot.
Yes, The Rock, like but I think in terms of wrestling heel, because I popped back in like the early aughts for whatever reason, because me and my buddy would order pizza and drink brew and watch wrestling, because that's what there was for us to do in Rancho Cucamonga, California,
Sounds
right?
right.
And so like Kurt Angle as heel was my favorite because I could never tell if you could never tell if he understood the people like why people hated him. He's like he was the ultimate "why are you booing me? I'm right" meme sort of dude, and it cracked me up every single time.
You gotta love it. Total lack of self-awareness.
Yes, here for it. Here for it. I know what else you're here for. Them Georgia Bulldogs is playing Alabama this week. Yo, so I have always been fascinated by the fact that Georgia and Alabama don't really play each other that often.
No.
They have played a lot in the last few years, but if you look at it, it's basically been SEC championships and national championships, which obviously didn't make sense because there were schools in bordering states. The SEC didn't always have all these schools. And so I thought that it was just kind of a random quirk. Do you know why it is that they did not play for all of those years?
I just assumed it was because they had divisions for so long and they just weren't in our division. Why?
Per the Wikipedia, and
Okay.
this is true. Um, in 1963, the Saturday Evening Post magazine reported that Alabama coach Paul Bear Bryant and Georgia athletic director Wally Butts had conspired to fix the 1962 game, which Alabama won 35-0. After the story broke, Butts resigned as athletic director, though Butts and Bryant denied the allegations. The two sued the magazine's publisher for libel, and the case reached the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of Butts, with the publisher eventually being ordered to pay more than $3 million in damages. Following the scandal, the schools decided to end their annual series after the 1965 meeting. Can you imagine in this day and age if somebody reported that Georgia's coach and Alabama's coach had conspired to fix a game?
That's actually insane, and I've never heard that story before. What?
That's
And
why
$3 million in the 60s, bro, probably bankrupt that paper I would
it
assume.
basically did. It is credited for being the end. I'm sure they had some measure of insurance, but yes, that is basically what ended the magazine.
That's when you think about it, though, that's actually kind of incredible. And mostly because the idea that anybody from Georgia and Alabama would come together and unite in one cause seems crazy to me. But it makes a ton of sense. Like I said, I just assumed that it was because of the divisional thing and because they just always wanted those two in the SEC championship. But it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, that is like,
That's
I just saw that
crazy.
this morning and I was like, oh my
I guess
goodness.
my question would be like, what's the benefit for being the team that goes, all right, we'll take the L here and score 0 points? Like, what are you getting?
They took the fix so far too, a 35-0 fix.
Why?
So you had the win and the over, huh? Like that, you had to get all the money.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I'm thinking, maybe we need to get a journalist on it. Maybe that's exactly what the Falcons were doing with the Panthers last week.
You You couldn't help it, could you? You saw that opportunity flash before your eyes. And
I was like,
I'm
wait,
going to get
30-something
this.
to nothing? Sounds familiar.
You're like, we're going to get this in before anything changes. You are going to make sure that you get that in. I saw that the Panthers had beat somebody 30-something to nothing. I had no idea who it was who they beat, but I knew exactly who it was that they beat. I was like, that was the Falcons. I guarantee you that was
Say
the
it, Bo.
Falcons.
Say it. Say the famous line, Bo. I need to hear it.
Got off that narcotic. I got off that narcotic. Falcons are not to be trusted. That's bad dope right there.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Sorry, I had to. My bad, Falcons fans, for that
They are
strange
such
spot.
wet dope. They are such wet dope. Just useless. Just useless. And look, man, they got the black coach. They got the black quarterback who always wears do-rag. They got the black general manager. They got all kinds of things. They got the kind of things that got me started rooting for the Detroit Lions. And I'm still saying, no, give me that over the hapless Falcons. And those were the hapless Lions.
Listen, the Panthers have been one of the worst defenses for 3 years. The idea you could barely complete a pass against them. And what's worse is that your hero, the savior, is Kirk Cousins. Good God, it's every man for himself. I mean, it's bad and getting worse. And I'm trying to give a little bit of grace to Michael Penix. He's still technically in his rookie campaign. He hasn't started 18 games yet, but it's bad. It's like every time you go into a season hopeful as a Falcons fan, and again, this is a reminder to your listeners, I am not a Falcons fan. I am a Broncos fan. So please, we already have our own issues. I don't need to take the Falcons issues too. But it's just, at some point I start feeling like bad. Like it was funny at first, and now it's just getting to a point where it's like, this is pathetic. I mean, this is bad, Bo.
Well, hold on. I want to get back to you and your specification of being a Broncos fan, because I don't think that you even realize how pointed it is that you are specifically a Broncos fan, because I saw the video you put on the internet the other day where you run through all the teams you root for, and you root for the Braves.
I do.
And hey, I understand that. Now, for people to understand this, she is a Broncos fan because she has family from Denver.
Yes.
Now, Denver didn't always have a baseball team, so the Braves make sense.
Yeah.
Denver does have a basketball team, but you still root for the Hawks. You don't root for the Nuggets.
No.
You root for Georgia. You don't root for Colorado or any of that. But you specifically looked at the Falcons and said, why would I do that?
No.
You did not look at the Hawks and say that.
No.
You looked at the Falcons and were like, why would I do that when there's this alternative right here waiting for
that have won championships? No, legitimately, I can take no credit for it. When my family moved from Denver to Atlanta in 1980, before I was born, the Nuggets weren't really a thing. They didn't have like a Nugget. They were only really Broncos diehards. So when they moved to Georgia, I inherited the Broncos, and then they adopted all of the local teams because, like, CU wasn't a thing really. Neither one of my parents went there. They went to DU. And so like the Rockies weren't really a thing. And so that is why, like, they inherited those teams in the 80s and then, passed it on to me. But the Broncos was like the legacy team that they'd been holding on to for generations. So that's why.
Okay. But you got
it all paid off though, because good God, we've got, as tough as it's been to be a Broncos fan of late, we have 3 championships to rest on. And well,
you do. And you got your Georgia Bulldogs who, hey man, I think if I had to guess, they're going to beat the Brizzakes off of Alabama. Alabama's got to bring this game.
Why do you say that, Bo? A, you're trying to jinx my team, and B, what has led you to believe that Georgia's going to beat the brakes off of Alabama?
Okay. Number one, Alabama got to bring this game to Athens.
Yes, for the first time in 10 years, by the way.
That's right.
Going back to your point about them never playing each other in the regular season.
That's right. So they're going to have to bring the game over to the crib. I don't think Alabama is particularly good. I can see it on Caleb DeBoer's face every game I watch, that the stress of that job is wearing on him. I still think Georgia has one of those like overwhelming talent kind of situations. Your boy Gunner Stockton, who, I mean, talk about the name of a Georgia quarterback.
Hello.
Right up that alley. I think they're gonna wind up. I think they're gonna wind up doing that. I'm not trying to jinx you. They got to get some revenge in because they lost last year. I'm always rooting, and I hate this for you, Caleb DeBoer, but as Jeremy Foley said when they fired Ron Zook, what will be done eventually must be done immediately, and they're gonna run you off that job. And I just kind of want to see how funny it gets before they do.
So I do think they're going to run Kalen DeBoer out of the job. It's why a lot of people were like, "Man, why take this job after Nick Saban?" Right? Like, you don't want to be the rebound. That's not the long term commitment. Like, the rebound play is just exactly that. You're just trying to get an easy lay. And so I do think that like he could have success anywhere else and be fine. But his record is always going to be held up against Nick Saban. And when we're saying things like they haven't started out this bad since Nick Saban's first year, they haven't started out this bad since. If they end up losing this game, then they would be 2-2, which is their worst start since they won 4 games in an entire season. So like all of that is true. However, I think a big part of what made Kalen DeBoer's year last year, despite losing to Vandy, despite their season, I think they lost to Tennessee last year too, was that he beat Georgia. It was like this idea, and that's the frustrating part for me. Kirby Smart is 1-6 against Alabama, meaning
Yeah.
that Clark Lee, the head coach of Vandy, has as many wins against Alabama as Kirby Smart does. And Kirby is, I'm not being biased here. I think the best college football coach. He's had the most success in terms of consistency and all of those things. It's been quite a run over the last 10 years. But there's a ghost. There's a fainting spell. There's something that happens every fucking time we play Alabama. You know what it is, Bo? I'm watching Tennessee choke this game away a couple of weeks ago to Georgia. And I was thinking, we are to Tennessee what Alabama is to us.
Yes.
Despite being better, more talented, Tennessee should have won that game. They played better. They looked better. They bullied us in the trenches. They won every facet of the game. And alas, they found a way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And that's the same thing that we do every single year, save for the one time we beat them in the Kirby Smart era in the national championship. And so for me, it's not about the fact that, yes, we're more talented, or yes, that I trust our quarterback more than I trust Ty Simpson, or the fact that Bam is feeling really good about themselves because they beat up on Wisconsin and BLM. Like, it's just this idea that we still have not exercised those demons, that somehow we find a way to give the game away every single time. And last year, like, I don't care what the SEC team is. If you have 4 turnovers, Carson Beck, you're going to lose that game. And the idea that we were even in a position to win that game and we're winning at the end of the game. And then what happens? The same thing that happened with Tua and Jalen and Tua again. Ryan Williams, 75-yard touchdown. It's just, Jalen Milroe has only ever looked good against Georgia. Like, he tore our ass up. And I think that's what it is that like those Alabama kids get up for this game in such a way that it's like, this could save our season. Like, yes, we underwhelmed, we underperformed, and we didn't ultimately get to the CFP like we want, but at least we beat Georgia. And like, that's where we're at with this team. And that's scary.
Yeah. Part of what I enjoy about this, like, again, rivalry that's not really a rivalry, but became a rivalry again, right?
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Georgia has lost to Alabama 9 of the last 10 times they played. And that run begins with, honestly, maybe the most demoralizing loss I've ever seen a team take, which was that funeral in 2008, where Georgia decided to have a blackout on the field and a blackout in the stands. And they were losing 31-0 in the second quarter. And it was a methodical set them on fire game. I see, as Elle remembers every single bit of it. It was wild. It was really the day that Alabama announced that this Saban thing was coming back. But what I find interesting about this is, as Georgia has stampeded America for the last however many years, right? It's really been the better part of since 2017 when they lost the national championship game to Alabama. I can't think of a circumstance or situation. Florida State is the closest thing I can think to it in the late 80s and early 90s, where a team was so good but still had a nemesis that they couldn't quite get past. Right? It makes this so fascinating when you think about it. Like when Clemson had their run, they would go back and forth with Alabama, right? Like you get one, we get one. Alabama still has Georgia's number. It's like Nadal having Federer's number.
Yes.
In a way, right?
Yes.
But just can't quite get past that one. And that is so compelling to me.
Yes, it's Lamar Jackson versus the Chiefs. We're Lamar Jackson and they're the Chiefs. Like, this man can do absolutely anything, but he just can't seem to beat that fucking team. And it's so infuriating. And like, there's been people that are like, oh, the rivalry's lost its luster since Nick left. And to be honest with you, I feel like that would be the case if we had won last year. Like if Georgia had won last year and it was like, all right, so it was a Saban thing, right? Like it was clearly a Saban thing. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in losing to the greatest football coach of all time. No shame. We get it. Kirby was under him. He knows Kirby's tendencies. That used to be his DC. Like you could make those excuses, but to lose then to Kalen DeBoer, it was like, oh God, I think that's what reinvigorated the idea that this is psychological more than it is anything else. And like they need, I assumed that we would put that to bed after we beat them in the national championship. It was like, all right, demon exercise, it doesn't matter. But it's endured. It has endured because for all intents and purposes, we should have a winning record against them over the last few years, considering we've got 2 national championships. But it still is just this thing where we can't beat them. And to be honest, Bo, the most insufferable part has been that I live with a Vanderbilt Commodore. And this man has been so fucking annoying since Vandy beat Alabama last year. I low key, I don't even care about getting trolled by Bama fans. I want us to win so I can stop being trolled by the Commodore that lives in my house. Like he looked at the schedule yesterday and he was like, oh, perfect. Alabama plays Vandy again next year or next week. So don't worry about it. We'll avenge you again. I'm like, oh my God. Like he's calling Vandy Thanos. He's saying that they Thanos Alabama and they ended them. Every time Bama loses, he's taking credit, saying that Vanderbilt did this and broke them somehow. I'm so sick of his braggadocio because they found a way for the first time in like 50 years to beat a number 1 team. I'm tired of it. So I need that more than anything just so he can shut the fuck up.
Vanderbilt is ranked, for those of you who don't know this. They're honest to God ranked.
Who, Vandy?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the people who aren't aware.
Vandy's not a cakewalk team anymore, yo. Like they're when I look at like Georgia's schedule and I'm like, okay, the no-brainer wins like Vandy, Georgia Tech, those are not no-brainers anymore. That's why games like this are so important because that last game of the year that used to be a tune-up before the playoffs is not a tune-up anymore. We saw that last year in the 7 overtimes. Like Georgia Tech is not to be played around with, and Vandy either. The SEC is getting better.
Well, they went to South Carolina and smacked them.
Smoked them.
Right? Now, look, I mean, South Carolina does not appear to be as good as we thought they would be this year. That's fine. But that does not change the fact that they went in their house and beat them by 4 scores.
Yes. A tough place to play, by the way.
Yeah, boy. I'm rooting for you dogs a little bit. I am. Like, I wanna see the thing happen. I don't know.
Say it with your chest, Bo. You feel like you're tiptoeing in this endorsement.
I liked Georgia better when they weren't as good.
What when was that?
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never loved UGA, but it's always been in proximity to me. Like there are a lot of people in my life that are happier if Georgia wins. So I would like to see Georgia win, in those cases. But I don't know. Like Juggernaut Georgia, for whatever reason, hadn't felt as fun to me as other Juggernaut like teams and franchises have been. Like Juggernaut Alabama was not a lot of fun to me, obviously. But I don't know. Like, so yeah, good for you guys if you go out there and get, and get your dub. You feel me?
You know what I want to know? I have been dying to ask you with those Texas roots of yours, how you feel about Arch Manning.
We'll talk about that coming up next. Got more with Elle Duncan, but first, Ryan, you got DraftKings picks for the people.
Yeah, that's right. Looking ahead to Sunday Night Football, I'm expecting a shootout. So I like Dak Prescott over 23.5 passing yards. Also, I like Jordan Love over 232.5 passing yards. That is on the DraftKings Pick 6 app. Just pick more or less for 2 or more player stats from breakout rookies to elite QBs to unlock the upside every stat brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code Bomani. That's code Bomani. Play just $5. Get 56 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call. Ride the upside. In partnerships with DraftKings Pick 6, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus award is non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
What if a quarterback completed 4 out of 5 of his passes? Or a point guard hit 4 out of 5 behind the arc? Well, now, when you're hiring, you can play at that level because 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. From healthcare to hospitality to business services, manufacturing, and more, ZipRecruiter makes hiring faster and easier. And today, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. ZipRecruiter doesn't wait for the right candidates to find you. ZipRecruiter scouts top talent for you. First, when you post your job, ZipRecruiter hustles to start showing it to the most qualified people. Then, ZipRecruiter races to build a roster of great candidates for your job, and you can invite your top picks to apply to encourage them to apply sooner. See for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Bomani. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. All right, we are back with Elle Duncan. She asked how I felt about Arch Manning. I actually think this is really interesting because I got off that narcotic too, because that narcotic wanted people to sing a song that I found to be disrespectful to my dignity. You understand what I'm saying? When Sarkisian got that job and came out there and was like, oh yeah, we're going to stand on the line and we're going to sing that song. I was like, all right, y'all going to sing this song without me. But what I find interesting about Arch is, in a much different way, Arch reminds me of Josh Allen in the sense that I looked up one day and was like, wow, the only person that seems to be honest about Josh Allen is Josh Allen. This is crazy. Like, everybody else talks about him in these terms that don't always match reality or go a little bit too far, but he seems to get what he is. I feel the same way about Arch and his family with him, right? Like when Firebaum got on TV and said he's the best quarterback since Tim Tebow, it's been 5 quarterbacks since Tebow that was better quarterbacks than Tim Tebow. Like we just set this boy up in a lot of ways for a standard that he couldn't reach. But I also find it objectively interesting in a way that it's interesting because it's not happening to me, that he seems to be struggling with the weight of the pressure. Like, he's out here when they play against bad teams, he looks excellent.
Yes.
When they play against good teams, he looks terrible. And it's all right here between the ears. Right there between the ears. Like, it seems clearly to be that. And I don't know if anybody knows exactly how to handle this because they built up so much around him. Like, if he winds up becoming good after this, it will be very gratifying to watch as an objective observer. Because what it takes to overcome something like that, I think, is what truly compels us about sports in the first place.
I'm with you. I'm glad that at the very least we put to bed that transitive property somehow helps you become a quarterback. Because it's just so weird to me when people talk about lineage. And it's like, I understand, the family that he comes from. And I understand that means that he had access, right, to better coaching, that he had access to better trainers, that he had more tools to help him be an excellent quarterback. But like, he's still like, is it entirely different person with his own unique DNA? Like, he's still, I feel for the kid because they just were like, oh, well, because of Arch and because of Peyton and because of Eli, none of whom are his children, by the way. That's not their kid. All of a sudden it was like, well, then he's just going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, they were ready to put this dude in Canton like before he started his first game. And I'm not gonna reveal who told me this because I think I don't want to dime them out. They spent some time with Texas, but this is last year. And I wasn't the biggest Quinn Ewers fan in the world. I thought he was pretty average. And I was buying the hype of like, it's Arch Manning. Like, this guy's got all the tools. He's got this. He is the quarterback that was promised. And I said to this person, like, I don't understand. Like, Quinn's just okay. And like, Quinn's going to be gone next year. You got to give Arch some reps, right? Like, you got to get Arch in there. Like, why not just hand the keys to the kingdom to him, let him work it out. And like, then you're poised and primed for the next couple of years. And this person looked at me and goes, yeah, what if Arch is actually not that good? And I said, what do you mean? And they're like, what if some of this is because the coaches see him at practice every single day, unlike us, and they know that he's not that good? And I was like, that can't be true. And he was like, I'm just telling you what I've heard, which is that the inconceivable, which is that like maybe Arch isn't that good. Now, That was last year, obviously, and, like, I don't think there's some referendum on Arch Manning. Like, I think the dude's gonna be a good quarterback. I think he's gonna be fine. But I do think that, like, maybe there was this bill of sales that was sold and Texas bought into it and they bought into the name and the hype. And I was told that, they specifically chose Texas because of the relationship, the family relationship with Sark. And they really thought that Sark was innovative offensively enough to put Arch in the best position to win. Maybe Texas bought something that was not nearly as ready to go as they thought. Like maybe they thought they were buying the Lego structure already built and they realized, oh, we got to put this shit together. And that's kind of what we're seeing now. It's not been totally surprising to me based on those comments from a colleague last year that he's struggling in this way, because I think that if given an opportunity, they probably would have gone with Quinn Ewers this year as well.
I think a big part of this is that winning the recruiting battle was as important as the player was.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Like it was a big signal to everybody involved that this is one that you want to win, regardless of how good the kid was or was not. And hey, man, go look it up. 5-star recruits do not translate into first round picks by definition. They don't translate into All Americans by definition. The miss rate on 5-star recruits is actually much higher than I think people realize that it is. And there were always questions about him. But I just feel like when you look around at everything else, say what you want about Archie Manning. Archie Manning is not out here seeking all the attention for his boys and for his grandson in this case. They play a lay low game.
Yeah.
We did all the stuff.
Yeah.
And
the media, 100%.
It don't seem to be there. Now, I want to switch gears with you a little bit because we got something going in the NFL that I think is interesting. I guess it's so interesting you living in Bristol where you kind of have two local teams but no local teams because
Right.
you're halfway between New York and Boston.
Exactly.
But the New York Giants, they have changed quarterbacks. They went from Russell Wilson to Jaxon Dart. And I want to ask this question before we talk about Jaxon Dart, because now Russell Wilson is the backup. Jaxon Dart's the number one. What is Jameis there doing card tricks on the sidelines? What is the point of having him if he can't even be the number two after Russell Wilson was out there looking like Silky Johnson's coat, except when he was playing the even more rat-ass Make-A-Wish Foundation defense of the Dallas Cowboys?
I think Jameis is there. He's the meme ambassador. He is literally there for sound bites and memes. I think
vibes.
Like his energy.
He's the vibes coordinator.
He's the vibes guy, 100%. And like, listen, people have made careers on less, so I'm with him there. But this is it. It's sad because like literally you don't have to be Doctor Strange to have Doctor Strange this. Like you could have played out every scenario and you knew it was always going to land at Russell Wilson very early on in the season getting benched in favor of Jaxon Dart. Because when it comes to the New York Giants, the other quarterback in their mind is always the better quarterback. Like that's just how they are. They want the thing that they don't have, And I think, for Russell Wilson, like he has not done enough to keep his job, certainly. But this idea that the Giants think everything is going to be solved by bringing in Jaxon Dart is also wild to me. Good luck.
First of all, quarterbacks drafted in the 20s, that don't really go. Like that don't typically really hit. The people who I trust on these things going into the draft were not excited about this Jaxon Dart thing. And maybe it's been different since he got, with a professional team. I have no idea how good he is or is not going to be. This is a classic coach trying to save his job proposition.
Yes.
And I didn't understand Daboll when he did the press conference. And he said he would not explain why Russell Wilson was was losing his job. And you know what? Maybe it's kind of like Michael Stipe of REM once said that when he used to get pressured about coming out as gay, he said he never came out because he thought it was obvious. Like he didn't think if there was a closet, it was glass. He didn't think that this needed to be explained. Maybe that's Brian Daboll's thing about Russell Wilson. Like, why is he losing his job? Did you watch the game? Like, I assume that y'all be going to all the games. Did y'all see the game? Then of course I couldn't believe how bad he looked. I mean, and that tells you how bad the Cowboys are. Except in the Cowboys game, he also looked as bad as he looked in the last game. Just except for when he was just like, all right, just chuck it up there, dog.
Yeah, well, the sad part is that was still one of the best Russell Wilson games we've seen in some time.
I mean, he threw for like 450 yards. It was crazy. And poor Malik Neighbors. Like normally, especially he's just in his second year.
Yeah.
He is an old school, give me the damn ball sort of receiver. And I can't think of a time that there's been a receiver who has demonstrated this attitude in public and this young, where we're all on his side.
Yes. Yeah.
We're all on his team.
Yeah. He's like, you're wasting my good years. You know what, though? I actually really love this for Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson have you ever had that person in your life who's like just doggedly determined to be with you, even though you've done nothing nice to them? Like they're going to love you through anything. They're like, I know that you cheat on me and you're not particularly nice to me and you border on verbal abuse, but I love you. And this is he's like that guy where it's like, God, what do I have to do to just get you to go away? And it's not fair or nice. It's not deserved. Like Russell Wilson has done nothing but like be the good guy who loves his wife and goes to children's hospitals on the day that he gets cut. And for some reason, no one wants him. They find him to be cringy. And that is on the field, off the field. They don't want him. He dealt with that in Denver. They didn't want him in Pittsburgh. They don't want him in the Giants. And I feel like for Russell Wilson, like I need him to be the guy who is like shelved for a little bit. And I need like him to become a little bit like to take his villain turn. Like I feel like this is when Russell could take his villain turn and be like, stop saying the right things. I'm going to support this team in any way I can, and be that guy that's like, cool, you want Jaxon Dart? Good luck. And sit back with popcorn and watch, because Russell Wilson, I do not think has what it takes to be a starting quarterback anymore.
No.
But people are mad at Russell Wilson for still trying. And that to me is what's wild. It's like, well, of course he's going to keep trying to be a quarterback. It's not his fault that people keep signing him, that people keep giving him historic money. I'm looking at you, Denver, that people keep giving him opportunities, but they're mad at him for it. And it's not his fault. The guy's just doing his absolute best. And I feel like this is like, hopefully when that tide will turn for Russell Wilson, where someone is clamoring for him. If Jaxon Dart does bad, and I have no idea if they're going to bail on Jaxon Dart or if they're just going to say, this is our move and we're sticking with the guy no matter what, because it doesn't really matter. We're like 1-15 in our last 16 games. But God, like I feel for Russell Wilson at this point, and I don't know what inside of him doesn't want to just let it go.
So
right?
let me ask you this. If he makes his villain turn, is his villain turn coming all the way over here or going all the way over there? Does he start doing a podcast with Dr. Umar, or does he start doing a podcast with Sage Steele?
Okay, well, he is married to Sierra, so I'm going to say he's much more likely to go Dr. Umar route than he is the other route.
Right. But if he's going to go the full villain, then go the full villain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know that that's going to curry him any favor in this Hollywood world.
I hear you, but also I know a few things about Sierra, but I don't know Sierra. For all I know, them little kids might have the measles. You know what I'm saying? I got no clue.
There he goes.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I don't know what her get down is. I don't know what she read on the internet. But Russell Wilson has the potential to be many types of villains, is all I'm saying.
He does.
He could choose one.
I was more thinking less political villain and more like an Aqib Talib. Like, I'll snatch your
that's
chain
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Fight.
I could that would be interesting, because I guarantee you, I don't know if you've ever seen the Russell Wilson hand measurements from the combine. You don't want to fight that man. Like when there used to be the thing on the internet when people used to talk about how the idea of Future and Russell Wilson fighting. Hey, man, the future would be the past if he decided to square up with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson would be dog shit out of that boy, especially with him taking all them drugs. No.
I was going to say, Future would probably have a total lack of self-awareness of where he is. You get him after he's been in doing a studio session. I believe it. He's also thin and he's tall, and I think Russell could take him for sure. But that's what I'm saying is like, I need to see. I just like, why not? What do you have to lose, Russ? Like, go out just being a total dick. I want him to become Aaron Rodgers. Like, I want him to be like, I'm not here to help Jaxon Dart, that guy. Like, I want him to be a villain, because they still don't like you. They don't like Boy Scout version of you. They don't like any version of you. So why not just turn it on him and just be a total asshole? That's what I would do.
Yo, but here's the thing about the Giants. They might have to go back to him.
I know.
Like that, like this move, I assume that when you make the quarterback change, the coach typically, in my mind, like so in the NBA, for example, players decide when it's time for the coach to go. Every now and then the front office will do it, but the players are going to be the ones to let you know. Even if they don't fire the coach, they let you know when it's time for the coach to go. I think players also play a big role in letting you know when the quarterback has to go. Like once the players are like, come on, man, you know this dude ain't the best player. And you can feel it in everybody around. Okay, now you got to make the move. For whatever reason, the players believe that guy is Jaxon Dart. But if Jaxon Dart is not that guy, are you just going to say, fuck it, let's have a good time and go to Jameis? Or are you going to maybe have to bring it back to Russell Wilson, except everybody knows that ain't the group?
So you think I don't see a world where Jameis, like I could see a world where they make up a fake injury and Jaxon Dart needs to be shelled because he's, got turf toe or something like that. Not that turf toe's not real, but
Yes.
and then you would go to maybe Jameis, but I don't see a world where, your choice is to go with Jameis Winston. Again, like the Giants have done this so wrong. They're watching Daniel Jones look like Joe Montana.
Yo, that's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt because it hurts me, and I ain't even got no investment in this.
Balling. He out here balling. So they've done this wrong so many times. And I think it always goes back, Bo, to the question that we ask ourselves all the time. Do you ruin someone's development if you yank them right away, right? Like what is psychologically, like how is Michael Penix going to feel knowing that, yes, he looked horrible against the Panthers, but their first solution was to not even like in the game, the first game that he looked like truly terrible, to go right to Kirk Cousins. Like, is he always going to feel that guy over his shoulder? Is that going to somehow impact him in his development? And I think if you're the Giants, again, there's no expectation that you're going to do not in a division with the Eagles, not in a division with the Cowboys that look absolutely horrible, but still are better than you. I think that like, if you're the Giants, you got to roll with this thing. If you make the decision to go with Jaxon Dart, he got his O-line is healthier now. What I was hearing was that they were waiting on their O-line to get healthy so that they would put Jaxon Dart in the best position. Again, just leaving Russell Wilson to the slaughter. Let's give him the B team offensive line and see if he can do okay. But I think you've got to stay with him, man. Like you have to. There's no expectation for you to do anything this year. You got to lose with the rookie and like you got to let him figure it out. That's my estimation. But again, it's the Giants and they are undefeated at doing the wrong thing.
I will propose a question about Jaxon Dart that I saw my good buddy Shannon Penn place on the internet, which is who will be the first defensive player to snatch that chain off his neck? Have you seen that chain that Jaxon Dart been wearing in the games?
I've seen the chain.
He is out there. And I just want to throw this out there for people. Jaxon Dart is from, I got it on the screen right here, Kaysville, Utah.
Oh.
Yes.
Where that?
It is in Utah, in the North part.
Oh. So is that almost Idaho? Oh God, my geography skills are not great.
I'm gonna be honest with you. It's all the same to me over there. You know what I'm saying? Like if ain't no state line, you ain't gonna know. You know what I mean? But I want to know like when he decided that the chain game was gonna be him. So he started at USC and then he went to Ole Miss. Like perhaps has he been radicalized? I've never heard him talk, but he seemed to have a swag that his fellow Utahan Zach Wilson did not have. Like you remember when Zach Wilson was at the draft and the boys was all dapping up around him and he looked like he was on a Scare Straight special. like he looked like, what if I'll be good. Like, let me go back to where I was. I promise I'll be good. Jaxon Dart got that chain. And so Shannon, like, who's going to be the first person to snatch that chain off his neck?
Well, I'm looking at the Giants schedule and I'm like, the Chargers, you can see Khalil Mack taking that thing.
Yeah.
The Saints. I don't know enough Saints
players. Oh, man, they lose, but the Saints are losing so much, they got to win something. And my thing is this, man. It's one thing to leave Snatch Crabtree's chain, not to take his chain, but just because he thought he didn't deserve to have a chain. Like, he snatched his chain and left it on the field. In my day, I feel like it was more cats that would have been snatched his chain and kept it.
Yes.
Like, would have sold it back to him.
Yeah. So not gone the pawn shop route. Could you imagine like walking in and trying to pawn off a chain that you snatched from an NFL game? Is this yours? Yeah, the one is that says Zach Wilson on it.
Yeah, imagine having to go after the game to put in a police report so that the pawn shop unit would be able to keep an eye out for your chain, right? After that thing has been snatched. He poisoned these chains. I am surprised that we don't see just more like hating ass chain snatching. Because I had looked at Jaxon Dart's chain and I said to someone I will leave nameless, I was like, hey man, if he wear that chain on the street, he better have a gun. He begging to get robbed. To which the response was, he's from Utah and played college football in Mississippi. And you think he don't got no gun?
Right. This is
fair point. But I feel like that tells me he got like a far away gun. I don't know if he got like a walk around piece.
Oh, no, he definitely has a concealed weapon. That's like a rite of passage when you come from those places. You're like, you get your first shot, baby's first shotgun, and then baby's first concealed weapon. That's how they
That's
do
right.
it.
What was that magazine you was in?
Garden and Gun.
Garden and Guns. Elle posted this on the internet. She did an interview or a spread or whatever for a magazine. I bullshit you not, called Garden and Guns. And I had to call Elle and say, does that magazine say Garden and Gun?
Yep. Two most important things to any Southern woman's life. You got your garden and you got your gun, baby. We're good.
Yo, that is the so when Texas went to its concealed weapon law, the woman that was really behind it, I don't know if you guys remember, this is obviously a terrible story, but one day somebody drove a car through the window of a Luby's cafeteria in Killeen, Texas, and shot the place up. Hell, it killed like 20-something people before it killed himself. But one of the women who was there she went to her purse, but she didn't have her gun in her purse. And that was the narrative that was used to get the concealed weapon game opened up in Texas. But what I found so interesting about the story was, as I recall, she went for the gun and didn't have it. Not, I didn't have my gun because I wasn't allowed to bring it. She was going to be in there with the tool.
Sure. She was like, I'm going to have it.
The tool was going to be had.
Yeah, we're just going to answer questions later. I mean, when I first got my gun, when I lived in Georgia, I was dealing with a bit of a stalker sitch. And so I had never shot a gun before. I'd never held a gun before. I'd never loaded a gun before. And I go to Wild Bill's down in Buckhead, which I believe is still there and is very famous in Georgia for guns. And I walk in and I'm nervous and I'm scared. And I'm like, I need to purchase a gun, you know? And I'm thinking like, I'm going to get the 5th degree. And they're just like, what kind of gun? I was like, I don't know. I've never shot a gun before. And they were like, well, we got, I think a 38 revolver is going to be best for you. Now, if you want to keep this thing in your purse, you're going to want to get the one with no safety on it. And because sometimes it can get snagged on a perch. And so we're going to go ahead and get you this one. I was like, all right. And they were like, and yeah, you need some bullets? I was like, yes. And so they hand me the gun, they hand me the bullets. And I'm like, I don't know how to load this. And they're like, cool, we'll show you. Loads it up. And I was like, is that all? And they're like, yeah, just, give us your license. We're going to do a background check, air quote. And within 15 minutes, I had a gun. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know any of the rules. Like, where am I allowed to take the gun? And they were like, well, unless you get a concealed carry permit, you can only keep the gun at your house. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't really help me. I'm out all the time. I'm going to have to get this concealed carry permit. And then he looks at me and he goes, however, because of Georgia laws, your house has some extensions. Your car is an extension of your house and your work is an extension of your house. And I was like, so wait, so I can take it in my car and also into work? And they were like, yes, you can. I was like, well, hell, okay. And it was just completely wild to me that in Georgia, you didn't have to have a concealed carry permit because everything is apparently an extension of your home and you can carry it anyway. So yeah, man, like it's real. I don't know where the point of that story was going other than to be like, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
It's kind of unbelievable that you can literally walk in with no gun acumen and walk out with a killing gun within like 25 minutes.
And by the way, I was wrong. The woman, her gun was in the car. She was there and her parents got killed. And she said she would have liked to have had her gun, but she thought she might lose her chiropractor's license. So she left it in the car. And with all due respect, ma'am, I don't know what you think you were about to have done.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you thought was going to happen. Everybody is always a hero in their mind until they're in that situation.
Well, the movie, it's not just that the movies make you think that anybody could be John McClane. It's not that. It's that the movies have all these scenes of unassuming people who out of nowhere wobbly hold a gun and shoot somebody and make the big kill as opposed to hitting themselves in the face.
Correct.
With their pistol.
That recoil is a bitch.
Like the idea, I think this is an underrated part about the gun. First of all, guns are a wild piece of engineering when you stop and think about it. You can just hold a killing machine in your hand, right? But the idea that you have to learn how to shoot a gun tells you how much power we're really talking about. Because it looks pretty simple to me.
Yeah.
Point and shoot. Like a camera, but it's not like a camera at all.
Not at all. Not at all. And I got a revolver because it was the easiest to load, right? You didn't have to deal with clips and things like that. And I did obviously learn how to shoot once I got my gun. I took some training and whatnot. But yeah, that kickback, depending on how big the gun is, that's what you don't. And what really you don't prepare for is when it gets jammed. And then you're really in a precarious situation. That's how most people end up shooting themselves. The gun jams, and you don't know how to appropriately take it apart. I love the Bomani show because the right time, it's always the right time to even get into gun conversation.
It
Like,
is.
that's my favorite thing about this. We started out talking about football, and now we're here at guns.
I love that you trust me enough to know that you can go to the gun place and I'm gonna keep us all safe no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Like this, wherever it goes, if it was a problem, I'd have shut it down. But it's not a problem, so I'm gonna keep us all safe. And I love that you know that like I am gonna keep you safe. I want to run this one thing by you right fast.
Yeah.
We got Baltimore and Kansas City, and black quarterback situation. We got enough black quarterbacks out here that I ain't got to root for them all. But it dawned on me last week when my Lions were playing against Baltimore. It hadn't dawned on me that since I had picked up a team, that meant that every now and then I was going to have to root against Lamar. Because that's not really what I do. Like, I feel like in a lot of ways he need us to stand by him. But now it's not just that it's Lamar and Mahomes, it's that they both really need the dub.
Yeah. It's unbelievable to think that after this weekend, one of those teams is going to be 1-3.
Right.
Like, that's wild. By the way, do you have a black quarterback ranking support chart? Like, who you support the most? And I imagine that you do. And I imagine that I know some of the characteristics that go into why you support some
so
of them.
Like,
because there's 16 now, right? 16.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, we got, it's getting harder and harder to explain to these white folks that there is still racism out here. You know what I mean? Like not to say that this is proof that it's not, but just to say that white people got a low threshold. So it becomes very difficult to explain this. Lamar is still very high up on this, right? Except, hey man, there's a lot of fair criticism to be made. And in order to do this properly, we got to be honest about the fact that y'all can't keep coming apart late. And you may not be the reason that y'all lose these games, but you also not the reason that y'all win these games. Right. Mahomes, I actually feel like he don't need our support, but he has earned it.
Sure.
And look, Josh Allen is that dude right now, but I still feel like it's been a lot of effort to tiger-proof the NFL, at least in people's minds, to downplay the glory and the greatness of the best quarterback that I've ever seen. He kind of need us. I think we need to keep something extra in the clip for Jordan Love, because he got the chance to be that dude, but the last time I looked in Green Bay, well, I think they still got Malik Willis, but there was a year where they didn't have a backup for him. And that made me feel like they wasn't really invested. But now that they got a backup named Malik, no less, I feel a lot better about, where they are and how they supporting him. I'm really there for Geno Smith because I just feel like he's the only man that's ever been blamed for somebody sucker punching him.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then he came back and he made it happen and he became that dude and he played for bums. He need us.
I'm going to make a horrible comparison. Geno Smith to me a little bit is becoming like the quarterback version of Marvin Lewis.
Keep going.
Where I supported Marvin Lewis for so long because I thought he was a really good coach. And obviously I felt like, with black coaches, they're held to a different standard and all the stuff that we already know. But then it got to a point where it was like, oh, you've had so many chances.
Oh, but that don't count for Geno. Geno ain't had all these chances, though. Hold on.
He's had chances. I'm just saying, like, he's had enough chances that if there was going to be some big sort of leap into being a championship caliber quarterback, I feel like we would have seen it by now.
Okay,
he's had chances.
Okay, so no, he got that first chance with the Jets that wasn't really a chance.
Okay.
Then the Giants teased him with a chance.
Sure.
And when he got to play one game, they fired the coach for it.
Right.
Then he made his backup moves. He got to Seattle and he
was doing well.
Right. He did well. And now he's in this new place because Seattle just didn't want to pay him. I feel like he is more of a twice as hard poster boy than he is you have had all. Now that Russell Wilson, now that boy, he has some Justin Fields.
Oh, yeah, he's had.
We can make the
I'm not with you on Justin Fields, though. I'm not with you on Justin Fields. Like, I think that he has not had any Russell Wilson that we're seeing right now is the same Russell Wilson we saw glimpses of in Seattle, right? It's why Seattle was snickering when they traded him to the Broncos, and the Broncos gave him $150 million. They were like, we're seeing that same guy through the course of 3 different teams. But with Justin Fields, if at the very beginning of Russell Wilson's career, he had a different coordinator every single year. Like, I don't think that Justin Fields has been given the benefit of time and maturation. I don't. Like, I'm not saying Justin Fields is ever going to be a championship caliber quarterback. I'm just saying that he has not been in situations like he wasn't that bad last year for the Steelers when they decided to move on and go to Russell Wilson for no other reason than they just thought like, this is just okay, and let's choose another. Like, let's just see. It's the same thing that the Giants are doing right now. I don't think that he's had an opportunity in the right system with consistency of coordinator and consistency of weapons to show what he can do. I don't feel that way.
Are you just feeling a little bit guilty because your team decided that you would rather play Jake Fromm than to play Justin Fields?
There's a part of that too.
Is there just a twinge of Georgia being Georgia?
A little bit, yeah. Like but you know what? But ultimately, I think that, when it comes to black quarterbacks, while we've obviously, grown quite a bit and there's a bunch of them that are starting, they're still held to a standard. Like, what else can Jalen Hurts do to show you guys he's a top 10 quarterback? I don't know. There's that more. Conversation is tiresome too. Anybody else in his position that is done and see, you're obviously one of those guys. And I'm like, listen, I'm not saying that in a fucking one-on-one competition with Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to choose Jalen Hurts. But to act like this dude is strictly a system quarterback and he's only benefiting from Saquon Barkley or their great run game or from a fantastic offensive line, I just think diminishes a little bit what Jalen Hurts does. I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts for that reason alone.
I will just say this about Jalen Hurts. I made the point, I think last week, about Joe Burrow, that I've only seen Joe Burrow be excellent in the presence of surrounding excellence. And it's not his fault because not everybody does that, right? But Joe Burrow in LSU with Hall of Fame wide receivers, and he got one of them to come with him to Cincinnati, wound up on the same team. That's when I've seen Joe Burrow be that guy. I can make the same exact argument about Jalen Hurts, but when I have seen Jalen Hurts while surrounded by adventures, he has not looked like no Joe Burrow. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Fair. And I'm not saying that he is Joe Burrow. Like, I think Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback talent. But to say that Jalen Hurts isn't even top 10, I just don't understand like what exactly it is that we're judging or looking at when it comes to results, when it comes to fit, like when it comes to the ability to extend plays. Like he's not one-on-one. But guess what? He's experienced a hell of a lot more success than Joe Burrow has.
He has.
A ton more, because all Joe Burrow has is every single record, but no Super Bowls.
Here's what I say about Jalen Hurts that I think is very interesting. He is a guy that has all of the leader guy qualifications. And I don't mean that dismissively. I mean that literally, right? Like, he's the guy that you want out front. And he is just good enough that he can unlock the benefits of being that guy, right? Because if you are that guy and have all those characteristics and you can't play, it doesn't matter. Jameis Winston is a great example of that, who's got all the leader stuff, but he's not good enough to where that can take you over the top. Hurts is just good enough with the teams that he's got that you then get like this turbo boost from the fact that is the guy that you want out front. Because let's be honest, that coach they got, don't nobody want him in charge of nothing. I don't care what nobody say. Like, if it's coming down to following him or following Jalen Hurts, you're going to follow Jalen Hurts. Like, that's where I give him the credit. And he's been to the Super Bowl twice. They've won one. You can't take any of those things away from him. And that's just going to have to be good enough for him.
By the way, speaking of Nick Sirianni, do you ever watch South Park?
Yes.
Every time I see Nick Sirianni, the first image that pops into my head is Mr. Towley.
Is that okay? Is that him?
No, that's the towel that gets high.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's like, I have no idea what's going on. That's all I hear. Every time they show him on the sideline, I just hear, I have no idea what's going on.
I was so sure that they were going to fire that man last year just because he gives off fire me vibes. They have won 19 out of 20 games.
Yes. Correct. Yes. And that man was on the hot seat entering last season. I mean, they did have a pretty epic collapse before last season, but yes, he was on the hot seat. And to think the run that they've been on, man, they must love him because they certainly kept his job.
I got news for you. He'll be on the hot seat forever. That is a guy, you're not going to tell me that they done changed their mind about him. They just won more games. Like, if it came down to who we got to keep Jalen Hurts or we got to keep Sirianni, I'm keeping Jalen Hurts every single time.
Oh, for sure. He does give big fire me energy. He does. There's a few dudes whose faces are just like they give like pick me, fire me energy. And yeah, you're right. He's one of them.
He strikes me as a guy where somebody asks you, right, so what makes him good at his job? And they'd be like, man, what you got to understand, man, is he cool as hell.
Yeah.
Like I always feel like I can go talk to him. Like,
Yeah.
oh, word, huh? That's
what else?
that's what we talk about. Because let me tell you this too. I don't care if they just won a Super Bowl or not. We this close to AJ Brown losing his goddamn mind and being out there reading books again.
Oh my God, bro. I feel like we keep having sort of these interactions between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce. I'm just waiting on our AJ Brown versus Nick Sirianni moment because it's coming.
Yo, so that's the thing. It's not going to be with Jalen Hurts. Cats rock with him a little bit too tough, it looks like. He going straight to Nick Sirianni, even if it's about Jalen Hurts.
100%.
He going straight to Sirianni like, yo, so what's up with the ball, homie? And that's one thing. When you got two good receivers that ain't getting the ball as much as they supposed to.
Oh, yeah.
Devontae Smith seemed like he a play it cool type, you feel me? But at the same time, he's a short football player. We know they all got attitude.
Absolutely. They want the ball.
They all got attitude. Jalen, hey, I give this up to Devontae Smith. He gives all the little guy without giving any of the little guy. Like, he reminds me of this one receiver that used to wear blue and number 88. Like, in terms of the way he plays, I would never say that dude's name out here. I hear he got a son that played for Arizona, but I don't really know. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right? We gonna be good about that.
Yeah.
But like something about on one hand, Devontae Smith seemed like, oh, he played cool. On the other hand, I bet he will go off on you.
Yeah. I could see it. He doesn't give like small man energy, like you said, but he's already doing things like calling out security guards. So this feels like a little bit of a ramp up. First it's a security guard, then it's something about the strength and conditioning coach, and before you know it, it's an all-out assault on one of his teammates. Yeah.
Yes. He is also from South Louisiana, and he looked like a dude from South Louisiana.
Yes.
And you just need to lead them dudes be.
Uh-huh.
But if a dude is 6 foot, 170 pounds, playing NFL football, trust me, it is it in you?
Yes,
it is.
100%.
It is. I'm going to ask you one last thing before we get out of here.
Okay.
We had somebody leave a voicemail earlier this week where I referred to Anthony Edwards as being the most Atlanta dude possible. And the caller asked me to define what it means to be an Atlanta dude in that context. And I struggled to put it into words. Do you have any words for this?
Oh my God. It's always really tough because people have said this to me when people will comment like, she's so Atlanta, and someone will be like, what does that even mean? And I'm like, it's sort of like a state of mind, if you will. It's your ability to be equal parts businesswoman, businessman, and also ratchet. It's your ability to say what is on your mind at all times, all the time, no filter, no censorship whatsoever. But I think more than anything, it's just a feeling, Bo. Like, you can't describe what it means to feel pure joy. And you can't describe what it means to be Atlanta. You just recognize that shit when you see it. And Anthony Edwards is incredibly Atlanta. Because here's the thing. There are Atlanta luminaries that are not actually from Atlanta. So I've heard people will be like, I'm not from the city of Atlanta. I'm from the burbs. I'm from Marietta and Powder Springs, Georgia, right? And I moved into the city when I started doing hip hop radio at 21 years old. And I lived there for 10 years before I ultimately moved away to Boston. And so some of my formative years, became more Atlanta when I moved into the city. But like when I hear people be like, man, Quavo, he's so Atlanta. I'm like, Quavo's like me. He's out from Lawrenceville. That ain't Atlanta. Yeah. That's the burbs, bro. That's the burbs. So or when people say like Jaylen Brown, I'm like, he's from Marietta.
Nah.
I think he went to like Pope.
No, when I think of somebody being like very Atlanta and Anthony Edwards, this is the phrase I imagine him telling somebody in response to something. That's what I was trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Like the thing about the Atlanta dudes operate under this premise. Don't act like you don't understand what I'm talking about, right? Like, it is the decision that this code switching will be minimal because, and I abide by this wholly myself. Stop acting like you don't know what I mean.
Yes.
You understand what I'm talking about.
You feel me? Yeah.
Yeah. You knew exactly what I meant when I said that.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? You feel me? You feel me, bruh? I worked with a dude that is the most Atlanta person I've ever met. His name is Lil Bankhead. It's not little, it's Lil. And he is a radio personality still in Atlanta. Shout out to Lil Bankhead. And I've never met anyone more Atlanta in my entire life. Like, he claims that he's the person that coined the phrase going ham. He claims that he's the one that coined that phrase many, many years ago. But talking to him is it's like a caricature version of an Atlanta person. He's definitely that person that still says things like, you keep on talking, you finna get your goddamn wig split. You know what I mean? Everything goddamn is bookends every sentence. So goddamn, man, these bitches be all on me, goddamn.
That is a very Atlanta-istic
100%. Yeah, to bookend what goddamn.
Yes.
And yeah, so like when I think of Atlanta people, like it's a little bit of that, but it also can be, Andrea Carter is from Atlanta, and we have very similar music tastes, and we always say it's because we're from Atlanta. So like, yes, we can do some Pussycat Dolls and some Britney Spears, but then also Ying Yang Twins and Future, and like I think it's just sort of all encompassing because while Atlanta is dubbed Black Hollywood, it is incredibly diverse, and I think that's the cool part is that you just get little pieces from wherever you are. But yes, Anthony Edwards stands among them. He's our
By the way,
king.
this is where I'm gonna ask people to jump in on. They get on the voicemail line. Everybody knows somebody that swear they invented a phrase or they coined one. I got one. Like I believe that using cape as a verb to describe someone putting on his cape and coming to save the day.
Yeah.
I firmly believe I did that. Now
you
I know
started caping?
I probably not. But I don't feel like I heard nobody else saying it before I did. Like every now and then you got to go on Twitter and search stuff. So like I called Trae Young Trey the Barge. And I did not get this from anybody else, but I searched on Twitter and I saw that before the first time I had ever called him Trey the Barge, other people had called him Trey the Barge, right? Like we all had come up with this together.
Sure.
I tell people all the time, my advisor in graduate school is adamant that he is the first person to ever call Barry White the Walrus of Love. My brother believes that he is the first person ever to use the phrase drop a deuce to describe a bowel movement. I know for a fact that I'm the reason y'all don't say that wide receiver's name in the street. Like I know that started here, but everybody got something that they like, nah, nobody was saying that before I said it. We all know people like your man believes that he invented going ham.
Yes. He will stand on that. He'll tell you no one was using going ham until he started using going ham. You are unequivocally the orchestrator of Get Off That Narcotic, which I will be hearing for the rest of my life in any sports situation. That is 100% you, and I will give you that one. I don't know about the other ones though. I don't know.
I don't know, but I don't like Trey the Barge. I'm willing to share that with other people, but I did come up with it by myself, even if I was not the first person.
You should get credit for that. I do this. I'll think of something and I'll think it's really clever and I'll do the same thing. I'll like Twitter search it and I'll be like, shit, a bunch of other people did. I'm still running with it because it was conceived in my brain.
Yes.
Right? Organically and holistically. So like I'm taking credit for it, period. I know that I am the first and only person ever on SportsCenter to describe someone celebrating too early as premature I'm jacked elation.
Wow. I am amazed that they allowed you to do that twice.
Well, allow is not exactly the word. I'm a big fan of ask for forgiveness.
Forgiveness greater than permission.
But I definitely, I did drop that on a SportsCenter and it went exactly over like you thought that it would. It was great.
But you know what? In part, I personally would not want to be the person who told you that it was inappropriate, for it may appear that person was a bit defensive about the idea.
It's
not funny. It's not funny. You may think that it's funny, but I'm telling you right now, there's nothing funny about it. It's a thing that people go through. Like there's somebody up there.
Condition.
Yeah, there's somebody up there that was just a little bit too salty about it. You was like, yo, bro, I didn't even think it was that big a deal, bro.
I thought it was a great play on words. Little did I know.
I'm jacked elation.
Premature, I'm jacked elation.
Well done.
There you go.
Well, like the fact that you came, like, did you workshop that? Did it just come to you all at once?
I didn't really workshop it. It kind of came to me in the moment. I was like, what would it be? Keith Olbermann used to say premature jocularity. It didn't make a ton of sense to me. So I just did a play that worked for me. Premature, I'm jacked elation.
And this is why she is perhaps our favorite guest here in the Right Time universe. That is Elle Duncan. Check her out on SportsCenter every now and then, doing a little bit of wrestling on a plane somewhere. And always let her know that she need to come back on the show sometime soon.
I love that.
I appreciate you.
Bo.
Thank you, darling. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on the right time. We do this 3 times a week. Hit the voicemail line 323-596-7767. Whatever you want to talk about, we're down to hear it. Ryan Brumley handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Remember, follow the right time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.